film that you are about to see attempts to capture the spirit of the modern university. The university portrayed is the University of Toronto. My name is Claude Bissell, and I am the president. I think Varsity is a good model for this kind of film. In Canadian terms, it is an old university, almost 100 years old. And during that time, it has developed almost every kind of organization that you find within the modern university, from the small, self-governed residential college to the complex professional faculty with its many associations, both within and outside the academic community. It is also a university that has felt the responsibility for all of the major areas of study, and has tried, successfully I think, to distribute its support so that no important area of knowledge is overlooked. Now, the film tells us vividly a number of important things about this modern university. The first is that bigness and complexity are functions not so much of numbers as of ideas. The University of Toronto is, of course, growing in numbers every year. But this is a growth that can be easily measured and assimilated. In the world of ideas and knowledge, however, the university is growing at a dizzy geometrical rate. Or, if I may use the fashionable word, we are involved in a process of peaceful escalation. The light generated by knowledge is no longer the flickering light of the candle. It is rather the transcendent power of the laser beam. When we put up new buildings, as we do every day, then we are not simply providing space for new members of staff and students, although we are doing that. We are really trying to encompass ideas. And we realize that this new knowledge demands new interrelationships among the existing disciplines. The physical sciences, for instance, help us to understand the earliest records of man's life on Earth. The computer enables us to understand more quickly and more completely the structure of language, or it gives us instantaneously statistics that release the mind for bold speculation. Within the University of Toronto, we have, for instance, such strange hybrids as biomedical electronics and electronic music. One can say of this campus that here, culture and technology meet on the easiest and friendliest terms. Finally, the film tells us that this dazzling world of knowledge is still linked to what is old and familiar, to what is warm and personal and intimate. It is linked, of course, to buildings that carry us back into the past, to tree-lined walks down which generations of students have strolled, and above all, to the joy of being young and of joining the academic procession that began over 1,000 years ago and will go on as long as our civilization endures.
So many men have lit so many candles, but the age of candlelight is passing. The time has come when the light must come out of the minds of men.
So much of our perception depends upon light. And it is undoubtedly true that the power of all mankind lies in the source of light. My name is Donald Maylow, and my field is chemistry. Most of my life, long after leaving university, will be spent in search and research. But it is here we learn how to search and the complicated tools of research are provided for us. In exploring the still largely unknown inner world of the molecule, the tools for research include cross-beam apparatus weighing many tons, to others of delicate glass like this golden globe, reflecting and adding to the light of knowledge. From intense concentration to intense relaxation, many pure science students go for the rugged trips organized by the outing club. They're designed to get the blood moving again, and they usually do. In a large university, you never meet all your fellow students, but you do make a certain number of friends. One of mine, Linda Rapson, is in her 4th year of medicine. After graduation, she'll spend a year as an intern, and then another 2 years in postgraduate study before starting her own practice. The Faculty of Medicine enjoys the benefit of partnership with a number of large Toronto hospitals. Here, the students are continually reminded of the importance of the traditional doctor-patient relationship. They associate with the best clinicians, working in facilities that are the finest on the continent, in a continual give and take.
And some investigation has been carried out. Now, Ms. Rapson, we have 3 different clinical syndromes then.
In biliary colic, the patient has a pain which lasts a number of hours and is usually midline epigastric.
At the university, where great emphasis is inevitably placed on the academic program, it is necessary to provide a counterbalance through physical activities for the students. Linda takes advantage of the athletics facilities as often as her rigorous medical course will allow. The Benson building pool can be used as an aid to advanced coaching in synchronized swimming and diving for the phys ed students, but mostly it's available for all the girl students at various times for relaxation. It is here in one of the numerous libraries of the university that we find our basic source of light. We work alone, but in the company of those who for countless centuries past have set down their findings and theories in thousands of priceless volumes for the benefit of us who come after. Dave Jefferson is an engineer. He's a 4th year student, and like the rest of us, he hopes to graduate this year. The engineer's field of study is expanding at a terrific rate. High-speed computers, new materials, nuclear power and automation are just some of the relatively recent developments requiring the specialized knowledge which only a university education can give. But before they are qualified to enter into the field of cybernetics and high-speed computers, they are required to have a grounding in the principles of the more elementary forms of automation.
There we have it. Now, let's see what it looks like. Very nice, eh? Yes, you've got a touch with that thing.
May I see that? Thank you.
Nice point of cutoff.
Very good.
At the top.
Yes. Just like in the textbook.
Just like in the text.
I don't know what it is about engineering students, but they're always the most active group on the campus. At homecoming, at the winter carnival, at any special university event, they drag out their crazy homemade cannon to start things off with a boom. But even the lively engineers must have a place where they can concentrate. We all find that precious climate of silence in the many libraries on the campus. Clara Meyer is a 4th year philosophy student. The University of Toronto lays great stress on the humanities. It has one of the largest philosophy departments of any university in the world. Since the very beginning of the university, humanities have been taught in the traditional manner of seminar discussions.
You don't think liberty can?
And certainly not in this.
Well, what about freedom then? Do you think that as Spinoza suggests, the fully conscious man is the fully free man? Do you think that?
Well, since Marx means by consciousness and by self-consciousness something that then has to express itself in action, then it does lead to action. But I think this whole analogy between Spinoza and Marx is a pretty shoddy one, because it isn't self-consciousness that's producing this for Marx. It's the whole being of man, which includes his consciousness and includes the rest of him too. Marx doesn't define freedom in terms of self-consciousness. For Spinoza, you have a determinist system, and then you have freedom being the recognition that one is determined. For Marx, freedom is self-determination in a much more material sense. It's producing oneself by being the sole harbinger of one's actions and by being able to produce an environment which is aesthetically the reproduction of man's nature. This is what freedom is. It's something much more concrete.
Could someone elaborate?
But the modern university and the future of the world demand an interplay of disciplines. Traditionally, the pure and applied sciences, the humanities and social sciences have been taught and learned as separate disciplines. The new excitement of learning is in the interaction of these disciplines, in the knowledge that one is dependent upon and draws light from the other. 4 years is a long time, almost 1/5 of a lifetime when you're 21. But the years are short enough in terms of earning a degree. It's the length of time you have to get to know and learn to love your university. And not one of us is ashamed to say we do love it. Trinity, Harthouse, University College, St. Michael's, Victoria. They were just names to us when we enrolled. Now they are our world. Tomorrow they will be institutions of our minds which can never be forgotten or forsaken. University life is a life almost apart from the other everyday world. We have our own rivalries and ribaldries. We have our own athletic fields and theaters. Some of us live in residence and find our hunger for society and food both satisfied in our campus dining halls. And we have our own triumphs and celebrations when we come together again each autumn to a cloistered environment that closes out and is closed out by the very world we are preparing ourselves to enter. We kick up our heels a bit at homecoming. Some people accuse us of lack of reverence for established institutions, of being childishly extreme in our satire. But it is characteristic of the university that some of the most imaginative floats and skits are devised by men and women who may become cabinet ministers, Supreme Court judges, and even prime ministers. The university recognizes that today it can no longer be a separate and distinct entity looking only inward for its credentials. As a vital part of our nation's life, its decisions must be a part of the general welfare, a coherent pattern within its own close community and the entire nation. The demands of an ever more complex world find the university keeping pace and taking leadership. It is constantly questioning the very information that it passes on to each generation of students. With the growth of ideas came physical growth. The number of eligible students has more than doubled since the end of the war. The expansion started back in 1960, even before we enrolled. The facilities for undergraduates have increased over 100%, and the campus is twice the size. This is the impetus for the expansion of ideas, the beginning of a renaissance at Toronto. With more of us graduating every year, the facilities for graduate studies are being expanded to accommodate the ever-increasing flow of graduate students. You are more than a student at the University of Toronto. You're caught up in the strength of its vitality. You become a part of it and proud of it. The changes, the acceleration and intensification, the new quality of simultaneity means accomplishment in terms of years rather than centuries. The quickened pace has developed a new breed of students. The new aims of the university have inspired new thinking and new ambitions. We are an island surrounded by the pulsing life of the great city of Toronto. No quiet university town, this. Nearly 2 million people crowding the north shore of Lake Ontario and proud of their city, proud of their institutions, but sometimes seemingly unaware that one of the great and growing universities of the world is at its very heart. This expansion has produced a kind of spontaneous combustion. My field of organic chemistry has been revolutionized in recent years by ultraviolet spectroscopy. It's a new method of measurement which has allowed us to enter what normally was the preserve of the physicist. Expansion has meant the balancing of the chemistry department so that physical and organic chemists are enabled to work hand in hand during the all-important learning stage. When the university obtained the laser light source, it immediately opened up a whole new area for study and experimentation. A beam of light that sprang out of the minds of men. A beam so intense and well organized, so full of potential, that ultimately it may supplant the surgeon's knife in many operations and carry thousands of radio and television signals simultaneously across the world. The University of Toronto has been associated with many great developments in medicine, with insulin, heparin, open heart surgery, the electron microscope, and anesthetics like ethylene and cyclopropane. And it continues to provide leadership for the future. Probably one of the most complex problems in the field of medicine today is mental illness. Experiments in psychiatric treatment at the university are shedding new light on a sickness of which the patient is often unable to describe the symptoms. And the contributions of the university to the advancement of medical science in other fields are recorded and recognized throughout the world. The interdependence of the traditional university disciplines has now reached the stage where a complete new order is in the process of establishment. Biomedical electronics is one of the new interdisciplinary institutes which place medical students like Linda Rapson in an operating theater with electronic engineering students like David Jefferson. And as the introduction of the printing press facilitated a world renaissance centuries ago, so the introduction of the computer is facilitating a modern one. Menial calculating chores which students toiled over for months in our grandfather's day are now done in a matter of moments by this modern electronic tool, the computer. It won't be long before every faculty and department will be connected to it. Even now, students from disparate faculties assemble in the complex tape editing rooms to program projects in fields ranging from aerophysics and organic chemistry to psychology and even music. This room of electronic machinery is common ground for a spontaneous exchange of ideas between students from widely separated disciplines. Eminent men in many fields are being drawn to the University of Toronto. They came as established experts, but in keeping with U of T tradition, they are required to teach as well as work on their own research projects. In this way, undergraduates as well as graduate students reap the rewards of personal contact with and exposure to the enlightened minds of our century. Close at hand are many new worlds to explore, each of them ordered and organized, most of them much more so than the world of mankind. And many of them much more beautiful. This is the crystal structure of a hailstone, and from it we can learn how the stone was formed as it dropped through the atmosphere toward the earth. The mysteries of the universe are profound. Perhaps mankind will never solve them. The more we learn, the more we realize how little we truly know. But it may be that Einstein was right when he said, "The search for truth is more precious than its possession." Long before astronomy had grown to be a precise science in the Western world, a star exploded and formed the luminescent cloud of fragments we call the Crab Nebula. We now know that Chinese astronomers saw and accurately recorded the fact 900 years ago. The entire civilization of the Chinese people is a special study, and perhaps through the sciences we will begin to learn more of the art, philosophy, and history of this ancient civilization.
Do you not see your sad gray hairs in the bright mirror of the high hall, in the morning like strands of blue silk, by dusk turned into snow? To gain satisfaction from life, one must enjoy things.
The understanding of Chinese philosophy is pursued in the intimate atmosphere of the tutorial between master and student.
How does it read in Chinese? That's the fifth line. 人生得意须尽欢. And I had trouble rendering E. I know that it means to get what one wants, but I thought more than in just a material sense.
Yes, well, day, as you know, is a classical phrase. It comes in analogues, it comes in Mencius, and E is one's inmost thoughts, one's wishes and so on, and da is to obtain, yes, of course, but to obtain and succeed, and so therefore it means to get just exactly what one wants out of life. And the images of the poem are of a river passing, old age creeping on, and what is there left? Squeeze the last inch out of life. You see what I mean?
Yes, sort of emphasizes this ephemeral passing quality. Right?
Quite so, yeah. Okay, can you go on?
Yes. Do not let the gold goblet face the moon empty. Heaven produced our talents. They must be used.
One of the interesting experiments in the university world is Toronto's Massey College. It is a college for graduates, and someday I hope to be one of them. Because the students and teachers come from many different countries of the world and therefore represent as many points of view, it seems to me Massey College provides an unparalleled incentive and opportunity for excellence in any chosen field of study. Now, in a sense, it is over. But the university will remain in our minds, our thoughts, and in our hearts, wherever we go. Convocation, sometimes called commencement. The day on which our lives become a true renewal of the life of the university. The future draws from the past, and Tim, a classics graduate, is now ready for that future.
Admitto te ad gradum.
Clara Meyer takes her first step toward a Doctor of Philosophy degree.
Admitto te ad gradum. Admitto te ad gradum.
And David joins an urgently needed class of graduate engineers.
Admitto te ad gradum.
Now Linda is ready for the world of medicine in all its practical aspects. Her studies have only really begun. And chemistry now becomes my life. This day is a proud one and a humbling one.
Admitto te ad gradum.
And so a ray of light has been sparked within them. Together with those who came before and those who come after, they will do each their part in spreading a glow of knowledge which shall in time suffuse the world.